I found out my boyfriend has been secretly texting his ex-girlfriend behind my back and lying to me about it for weeks. Yesterday, I had an amazing day with my boyfriend. It was the first real day of our week vacation that I planned and organized for his birthday. As we were on our way to dinner, he suddenly wanted to go through my phone. Out of nowhere, he starts going through messages from months before I ever even met him, questioning who everyone is. I've never cheated on him or talked to anyone behind his back. In fact, when my ex reached out a few times, I openly told him about it as soon as it happened and asked him how he'd like me to proceed. Anyways, after going through all of that, he checks my recently deleted texts. He is not tech savvy, so I asked him how he knew that existed, at which point he began stumbling over his words. I asked him if he's been deleting messages and then deleting them from recently deleted. He said no. A little background. My boyfriend has an ex he broke up with right before meeting me. When he blocked her some months into being with me, she began emailing him non-stop horrible things. These were many times a day, multiple times a week. About 5 weeks ago, his ex abruptly stopped emailing. I found this extremely weird and began questioning him if he'd talked to her. He started acting weird with his phone, being secretive, and my anxiety peaked. I must have asked him over a dozen times if he was being honest with me about everything and if there's anything I needed to know. Hell, I even voiced that I need to make my sessions in therapy more often because I have no idea why my anxiety is so high. All the while, he played the supportive boyfriend doing nothing wrong. After he went through my phone, I asked him if I emailed her. Would the story line up? He assured me it would. Then, while at dinner, he stepped away to the bathroom. When he came back, I made a bitter comment. What did you go in there to warn her to get your story straight? He assured me no, he hasn't spoken to her in months. Later that night, we make up and we're laying in bed, and I ask him, so you swear you haven't talked to her? I swear. On your family? Silence. This is when I knew. I told him he needed to tell me everything, at which point he was silent for about 15 minutes. You can imagine my anxiety. Finally, he admitted that he did talk to her, just once, to give her closure. I'm freaking out. How could you lie to me? I don't believe it was just that once. When was the last time? All the while, he's saying just the once, and it was right after the emails stopped. He swears. Then I look at my phone. What do I have? An Instagram request message from his ex saying that he told her I was going to email, but she hasn't received anything. Oh man, I lost it. I told him to tell me everything because obviously he was still lying. He wouldn't. So I packed my bags, got a sketchy hotel, and slept there with my bags against the door. Talked to his ex this morning. She was trying to cover his back and he hers. Turns out they've been talking. What about, who knows, for weeks. The most recent time, aside from when he was in the bathroom, was a week before our trip when she wished him a happy birthday, and they chatted about this trip. Allegedly, she said she could disappear, but did he take her up on that? Nope. The guy thinks he was the good guy for making amends with her while gaslighting me and lying and making me feel like I am just an overly anxious person, which I'm not when I'm in an environment that's true. What's crazy is, my intuition knew, and I was literally having dreams about him talking to her. All the while, he was constantly assuring me. I don't know if there's any way past this. Am I overreacting? Now for the update. So, as most of you who kept up know, I had to stay a day and one night in the cabin with him. He wouldn't leave me alone. Kept apologizing and asking if I can forgive him. He didn't even let me sleep in the bed after I expressed he can take the floor or couch. So I took the couch. We left the next morning. It was a 7-hour car ride full of him attempting to apologize, saying how he doesn't know how he could ruin this. He should have told me about trying to tie it up with her, and we should have handled it together. That he didn't know why he does this to people. He is ashamed and a shitty jerk. That he hopes I can forgive him. Fast forward, we're home. He won't leave my house. He stayed with me most of the night and kept asking me to forgive him. Says he doesn't know what happened to him, and he feels like he was in a trance at the cabin. Claims he has no idea why he'd defend his psycho ex. At this point, I even kind of believed she was a bit psychotic, like true definition-wise, not in a demeaning way. Boy, was I manipulated. After a movie, he finally left, and this morning he sent me a screenshot of him signing up for therapy. Said this is special, and he really saw us being forever. Doesn't know why he did it, and he'll never speak to her again. Swears he's sorry and will work through everything, considering giving me full access to his Apple ID and online accounts. Then he said he was going to the gym, then his parents, because he needed to clear his head. Well, while he's at his parents', I got a very long email from his ex about an hour ago. Uncovering the extent they've been talking, turns out the whole time, by the way, and the amount of lies and manipulation is truly the worst thing I've ever experienced personally from any man. She told me the entire story from the very beginning, and it was full of things that only he and I should ever know about, with a little twist in the way he painted me, so I know she can't be lying about most of it. I am in actual shock right now. I'm sitting on my couch, and I start to cry, and then I just feel numb. I mean, this guy is possibly the scariest man I've ever let into my life. The extent of his lies and deceit is insane. I genuinely don't even have the capacity to go into depth right now. His ex and I are exchanging emails, and it just gets deeper and deeper. I mean, this is like the type of lying and behavior you only read about in psych books. I mean, he hits every point of a narc and everything that defines a sociopath. I can't believe I let someone like this into my life and was still considering believing him. Holy shoot. I sent him screenshots of what she sent me and told him to never reach out to me again. He literally tried to pick specific things out and say that she was lying, and he's so sorry. She would say that to me, claiming he never said things she claims and that she's still sprinkling in lies. I am running far away. Am I the idiot for feeling smug when my backstabbing flatmates got screwed over by their own housing plans? I made really good friends with my flatmates, but they've now gone behind my back for housing next year. We were a group of 6, and I was really good friends with all of them. We went clubbing and to the bar, and everyone was really chill with each other. I genuinely don't know why they did this. We were even talking about it and went to some viewings, making sure there were enough bedrooms, but they decided to just silently put a deposit down for a flat that had enough bedrooms for everyone except me. I only found out when one of their friends came around and said, "Are you guys excited now you've put your deposit down?" I was instantly confused, so I asked, "What do you mean?" The friend started talking about how good the flat looks and began questioning whether or not we had actually put a deposit down. He got told to shut up by one of the people in my friend group, and I just decided to leave the kitchen. I haven't talked to them since, apart from one of them who attempted to try to keep me included in the group and explained the entire situation. Honestly, should I just go alone for next year? Most of the good housing is gone. It's just one-bedroom apartments, private halls, and on campus. Now for a few comments. One commenter said, "Going to viewings with you and choosing to stay somewhere else behind your back is insane. Maintain cordial relations, but dump them." Then OP replied, "Honestly, might just ask to move flat. There's a lot of spare rooms this year." Another commenter mentioned, "I genuinely mean this, but this really is a dodged bullet situation. Their snakiness won't just be limited to you, it's who they are. I really wouldn't want to be any of them going into that house together." Someone else added, "My friend's sister excluded one of her friends this way. Their reason was that the excluded friend wanted more expensive accommodation than other people were willing to pay, so the group silently dropped her and left her to find new accommodation really late in the year, rather than anyone warn her." OP responded, "I think the cherry on the cake is the fact the deposit was put down for over a week and no one told me. I wasn't even pushing expensive accommodation. I was actually pushing cheaper ones. It was just because I wasn't there at the viewing to see the 5-bed one." Now for the 3-day update. Unfortunately, I can't move into a spare room in my uni halls, as it turns out these spare rooms are being deep cleaned and don't have any mattresses at the moment, which sucks. Flatmates still haven't spoken a single word to me. I've tried initiating conversation many times for them to just either act like they never heard what I said or walk out of the room. Thankfully, though, I've sorted out accommodation with some folks in a society I'm part of for next year. It's a 4-bedroom flat with a shared kitchen between 10 people in a really nice recently renovated halls in the town center. Now here's the actual funny part. Overhearing them whilst eating, I heard their future landlord essentially pulled out and decided not to put the property on the market for next year. So they're actually stuck. The student housing fair was 2 days ago, and there is actually nothing left for them. They'll either be staying on campus or be splitting up and going their own ways. I cannot make this up. Instant karma. I want to thank you all for your insights on the original post. They massively helped me from procrastinating and shriveling up into a ball and dying. Thank you. Now for some comments. A commenter asked, "Did you ever figure out why they turned on you?" "Did something happen?" OP replied. "I'm more sensing that it's just a lapse of judgment. They saw an opportunity and took it without thinking of the consequences of just dropping someone from the group without saying anything. Every time I attempt to talk to any of them, they just look incredibly guilty." Another commenter noted, 18-year-olds are emotionally immature and impulsive, which is especially apparent living away from home for the first time. I'm 23 now, and me and my friends from uni are unrecognizable from when we met in the first year. Finally, another commenter shared, "Looking back on my first year of uni, it's really hard not to see myself and everyone around as just an idiot child with delusions of adulthood. But am I the idiot for refusing to be my boyfriend's family's free handyman and setting boundaries instead? I am female 25, and my boyfriend is male 26. He had a mother and 3 sisters. Their father died when they all were pretty young, and honestly, none of them have really learned how to be independent. My dad raised me to be pretty independent. He told me to never depend on a man, and I don't. My dad owned a construction company, and he was one of the most talented woodworkers I've ever met. He taught me how to do a lot. I can work on cars within reason, cook, build furniture, lay tile, and do most home improvement type stuff. And honestly, if I don't know how to do something, I'm pretty good at YouTubing it and asking whoever I need to for pointers. My boyfriend and I live in a house that I solely own. I have made the house into what my boyfriend and I need. We are getting ready to get married and maybe adopt a few children. His sisters are all kind of helpless. I admittedly don't really like any of them. His oldest sister has been dating this slimy guy, and they have 4 kids together. He binge drinks a lot and doesn't really do anything. He gets a disability check from pretending to be schizophrenic. Their trailer is falling apart and their water isn't coming on. She cried to my boyfriend and asked him to get me to come get their water working again and fix some stuff. She said she can't afford to pay anyone. He said sure and casually told me. I told him no, definitely don't want to go do that in my free time. He's upset because he doesn't want to go back on his word to his sister. I suggested one of them can figure it out, or he can pay someone to do it. We have separate finances. His other sister started redoing her kitchen last month. She thought it would be easy. Halfway through gutting everything, she realized that she was in way over her head. Her boyfriend also broke up with her, and she had no one to help. He was the one mainly directing things. She asked my boyfriend to ask me to come help. He told her I would. I said no. Same problem. We are having a fight right now. He thinks that I am not being a team player for his family. I told him that I don't ask his family for anything ever, and it's not my fault that they choose to put themselves in bad spots and expect to be bailed out. It would be reasonable if they were sick and I brought them a meal, or if we watched the kids while someone is in the hospital. You know, normal family stuff. But I don't think wanting me to go do real labor and spend my entire weekend on projects because of their fuck-ups is reasonable. At the end, I told him if he isn't okay with this boundary I'm setting, then we have no business getting married. And the ball is in his court. He had apologized and let it go, but I can still tell that he's fuming. Update. You asked for an update, and you got one. If you have read my last post, you'll know that I refused to help my boyfriend's family with their home repairs, renovations. My boyfriend was moderately unhappy. His take was, if we're going to get married one day, his family will become my family, and we should all do our best to help each other. We had a frank conversation. I explained that I feel like his sisters are kind of needy and expect help. Meanwhile, they never offer any help, nor do they have any real useful skills that I'd need them for, to be honest. I made it clear that he's welcome to use his time, effort, and money to help them as he pleases, but to leave me out of it going forward. He agreed. Today, he went over there to try to help his sister fix her plumbing in their trailer. He went over there, and they spent 6 hours trying to fix it. It ended with a broken pipe and sewage and water flooding underneath badly. He called an emergency plumber, who said that pretty much all the plumbing in the trailer needs to be redone because it's so old. He quoted them $6 to fix it all. When the plumber left, him and his sister ended up getting in a screaming match in front of the kids. She insisted that if I came last week, things wouldn't have gotten so bad, which doesn't even make sense, honestly, but she's a moron. She insisted that him and I come fix it all for free. He told her off for always being a burden on everyone and making her problems everyone else's. She got super offended and told him to leave since he thinks he's so much better than her and her kids. The kids were all crying, and it was a mess. Both SILs have been blowing up his phone and my phone. We've ignored them. He cried. He's just been exhausted. He opened up that he feels bad because he promised his dad when he was a kid, right before his dad died, that he would take care of everything. Personally, I don't think it was fair of his dad to make a 6-year-old boy make that kind of promise. It's out so much weight on his shoulders over the years. My boyfriend has stated that it's time to let them all sink or swim with everything. He's just so tired. We're going to take a break from talking to all of them. If when we get involved with them, there will be crystal clear boundaries. He has agreed on this. So yeah, that's all I've got for right now. Not sure if it's a happy ending, but that's just where we are in life. For those of you who suggested that I leave my boyfriend, I hope you don't end your relationships over every minor disagreement, because that will lead to a lonely life. He's not going to put his sisters first for the rest of his life. But things are complicated. I'm willing to stand by him while we deal with things. Now for a few important comments. I learned the hard way in my early 20s to never commit to someone else's project. I might surprise someone and show up to help, but I don't want it expected of me. Too many times I burnt myself out helping someone because I had committed myself to it. Yes, we do have a prenup. I have premarital assists and an inheritance. My earning potential is also higher. He makes decent money though. Ultimately, he was fine with a prenup, and we already got it sorted out with 2 layers. To be honest, I think he should just pay someone to go and fix both problems. He can afford to do so, and he could just make it their early Christmas present. But he didn't like this idea, so he's going to go try to fix his sister's water this weekend. He's going to realize the hard way that there's a reason I don't want to do these things. Ultimately, I think it will be good for him to learn this lesson firsthand. No, they do not. They all work entry-level jobs for little to no money and have no education or skills. He's doing a lot better for himself, and they just drag him down.